Downtown New York City, 11:34 p.m. A dark alleyway lights up as streaks of blue blasts around it, a sphere forming, and then shaping into a teenaged girl. She has short red hair and piercing green eyes. She pants as she looks all around her.
Is this New York? It looks so different, so whole, so undamaged, so full of life.
The girl shoots a look back over her shoulder as a portal, just like her own, opens once more.
No, someone help me!
She runs off into the night, out of sight as the sphere transforms into a strange geometric purple machine, its lines straight and hard as though a robot designed with no curves at all. It scans the area.
Time scan. Late 20th to early 21st century. Year unknown. Target has been in this area recently. She will not evade me.
The being then transforms into a regular-looking human, complete with clothing to blend in. He then walks out onto the street and joins the mass of humanity. The girl runs for her life, bumping into annoyed strangers who call out at her for doing so.
Hey, watch it, kid.
She is having a full-on panic attack as she ducks into a side street to catch her breath. She then sees an old payphone and a reverse charge number next to it. She knows exactly who to call. Meanwhile, back at Xavier's mansion, Charles Xavier walks the length of his office and grabs a book from one of the shelves.
Your recovery is truly miraculous, Professor. To walk for the first time in almost 25 years.
The benefits of cloning, Hank. But I tend to find myself asking existential questions, such as if this me is truly me at all, or just a golem, programmed with my memories and powers.
The fact that you can ask such a thing is proof of the former, I think.
How long will you be around, my friend?
Just for the trial. I am no longer a member of the Avengers, but I have other duties I now wish to perform in the city.
Such as?
I'll explain later.
Will you be back for the wedding?
Wedding?
You haven't heard. Scott is marrying his new partner, Madeline Pryor.
That was fast.
Yes, but as a person who fell in love with a space alien after one telepathic call, I am in no position to judge.
Don't you think he's rushing into it? I know she looks like Jean, but she's not.
Hank, Scott is a grown man who can live his own life as he sees fit. And having met the woman, I can say that they are well matched.
Then this is a joyous occasion. And yes, I will return so that I may attend.
Good, because it's in a month, and I am letting them have it here.
Indeed? Then I take it she knows.
All of it, Hank. She knows it all.
Professor?
I'm sorry, Hank. It's this trial. Eric deserves better than for it all to end like this.
Professor, he may have been your friend once, but since then he has done terrible things, killed thousands. Do not forget Genosha.
I know. I won't. But a man can reform, change. Is that not the civilized way? To reform, not to destroy? For him to be captured like he has, and to be put to death.
Many would call it justice being served.
Yes, but do you?
I believe I agree with you, but many will not see things your way.
That is what I'm afraid of. Who could that be at this hour? Hello, Xavier School for the Gifted. Charles Xavier speaking.
You have a collect call from...
Rachel Grace Summers, I need the X-Men, please.
Grace Summers?
Professor?
Do you wish to accept the charges? Please press 1 for...
Hello? This is Charles Xavier. Who are you?
Xavier, you're alive! Then Kate must have succeeded.
Excuse me?
There's no time to explain, Professor Xavier. I'm being hunted by Nimrod, the Scarlet Sentinel. He's following me back through the time device.
What?
Help me, please.
Is this some kind of joke? How did you learn those names?
Grace Summers, they are my parents. Let me talk to them, or keep Pride. They can confirm my... Oh no, he's here. I have to go. I'm in the city. Please come, please.
Hello? Hello? Blast!
What was that all about?
I'm not sure, but we need to find out.
Xavier presses his fingers to his temples.
All X-Men to the hangar bay at once. We have a situation.
I think I better tag along.
What the hell is this all about? I was about to get some shut-eye.
I am sorry, Wolverine, but we must find out what is happening with this girl.
Sounds like a trap, if you ask me.
Perhaps. But if that is the case, we must find out why.
Where is Storm, Professor?
You mean Aurora? She ain't Storm no more.
She is still one of us, Logan.
Aurora is still taking some personal time in Africa to decide if she is to remain at the school. I will be in field command for this mission.
The yellow and black suits you, Prof.
Indeed. But seeing you in an X-Men uniform, leading us into combat, that will take some getting used to.
Good to have you back with us, though, Fuzzball.
I'll try not to take that nickname personally, Wolverine.
Everyone be alert. I am putting us into stealth mode and touching down in Central Park.
Hope no one's out walking their poodles.
The stealth jet lands and the super team disembark. Xavier using a portable Cerebro unit to track down the mystery caller. Meanwhile,
I think I lost him.
Mutant Hound 616, you have escaped confinement and used our time technology illegally. You will now be terminated.
No, get away!
as she calls out, Rachel's eyes fill with flames. Nimrod halts his advance as embers form from her body and then implode, before blasting outward in the shape of a firebird. Across the street, the X-Men arrive on the scene.
Oh my stars and garters! That appears to be...
the Phoenix.
The what?
No time to explain, Comrade Rogue. We must stop that girl before she destroys everything.
Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Beast bound off across the street towards Rachel and the battle. Kitty looks to Rogue and shakes her head.
It's bad. Trust me. Come on, Lockheed.
Back across the street, the fire now engulfs Nimrod.
Overload! Overload! Heat shields are failing. I must retreat.
And with a blast of light that almost blinds everyone around him, Nimrod is gone.
Cookie Sheet Sentinel's gone. Now we just gotta deal with the kid. And this time that thing hasn't possessed anyone I care about.
Wolverine raises his claws and charges for Rachel.
No, Wolverine. Let me reach her. Shut her powers down. She is new to these powers and cannot control them.
How does she have them at all? Didn't the Phoenix die on the moon, inside Jean?
Xavier ignores him and presses his fingers to his temple.
Child, Rachel, hear me. You must stop.
I don't know what is happening to me. What is this?
You have somehow been possessed by the Phoenix Force. I do not know how. May I scan your mind to help you control it?
Yes, please, anything!
Very well. You are their daughter from the future. Her daughter! But how is that possible? It doesn't matter. All that matters is that somehow the Phoenix Force survived Jean's death on the moon, and has been drawn to you as soon as you came to our time. But you must take control and shut it down.
I can't!
Very well. Then I will.
Xavier reaches out with his mind and shuts down Rachel's. The Phoenix Force vanishing into the body of the girl as she faints.
It is done.
Is she
Alive? Of course. I merely had to put her to sleep so that she could calm down and withdraw the Phoenix.
Professor, how?
She is from the future, Hank. An alternate future, perhaps. The one in which we never saved Senator Kelly or myself. One where Sentinels rule the world.
Yeah, but how has she got the Phoenix powers?
Because, Wolverine, she is the daughter of Scott Summers and Jean Grey.
Three days later, Aurora Monroe re-enters the school for the first time in many weeks. She sighs and looks around.
It looks so different as an ordinary human.
Storm!
Kitty runs over and the two embrace in a hug.
Hello, kitten. I came home as fast as I could. It is true? All of it?
Yeah, afraid so. I can't wrap my head around it, but she knows me, knows all of us, from a future that hasn't or may not ever happen. It blows my mind.
In which Jean never died?
Not possible. Jean died before the Senate hearing, where the Brotherhood tried to kill Senator Kelly. Ah, hello, Aurora.
Hello, Kurt, my friend. Then, that means, if the Phoenix survived the moon, perhaps Jean...
Maybe. But that future is so different to ours, with elements I don't pretend to understand. All I know is that she managed to escape to our time, and that an advanced Sentinel has followed her here.
But it has been days.
Yeah. Apparently, it can go all Terminator 2 and shapeshift to blend in as a human. Even acts like one.
A terrifying concept.
Tell me about it.
Can I see her?
Aurora is taken to the guest wing where Rachel Grey is sat in her room, reading a book in silence. Storm keeps her distance down the hall, so as not to disturb her.
She looks just like her.
Storm! You're home!
The towering man rushes over, grabbing Storm and picking her up in a bear hug.
Hello, Peter. Please put me down.
Oh, sorry.
I just came to see the girl.
Rachel. Her name's Rachel.
Indeed.
I ran every test in my old lab. The DNA proves it. She's theirs, all right.
Beast, I did not realize you had returned.
Just for the trial, the wedding, and now this.
The trial? I had forgotten. We need to be in Paris by tomorrow.
We were meant to be there 2 days ago, Piotr. But we convinced them to push back our testimony. The professor, however, went ahead, Storm. He's there now.
Can I come? Please?
Kitty, you know you have to remain to look after Rachel. We cannot leave her unguarded.
The New Mutants?
Are on a mission. Besides, you have never faced Magneto in combat, and so did not get called to testify.
Kitty folds her arms and pouts as Lockheed mirrors her actions with his forearms on her shoulder.
Fine. But I don't think I can take that thing alone.
You won't be alone, Kitty. Rogue will also remain here as she also hasn't faced Magneto. Besides, if that Sentinel was going to attack the school, it would have already.
Aurora nods and looks at Rachel in the far room again.
Has anyone told Cyclops?
We're getting round to it.
Paris, France. Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor sit having lunch at a lovely outdoor French cafe.
How's the soup?
Huh?
The soup? How is it?
Oh, nice. Thanks.
What's up?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that I'm in the most romantic place in the world with my fiancée, and I'm here to testify against a man who has tried to kill me for the best part of the last 10 years.
Isn't that a good thing? Bringing him to justice?
You'd think so. But after the last time, I don't know. I saw a different side to him, and he's not been any trouble in a long time.
I don't think anyone in Genosha's capital would agree.
Yeah. And look what happened to them. Rumor has it they have mutant internment camps now. Hatred and revenge. They aren't our way. They aren't my way.
I am happy to hear you say that, Scott. I taught you well, after all.
The couple stand to greet the bald man striding towards them.
Still not used to seeing you walk, Professor.
I'm just getting used to the idea myself. How are you, Madeline, my dear?
Well, thank you. And you?
I could be better. The trial has not gone well so far. I fear it will end with his death.
It's looking very likely.
Madeline, would you mind if I stole my pupil for a moment? I need to discuss something we haven't yet had the chance to since I arrived.
Sure.
I'll be back in a minute.
Xavier and Scott walk away towards another table and stand out of Madeline's earshot.
Professor, if this is about me returning to the team...
Scott, no. It's not...
I want to. I've talked to Maddie about it, and I think it's time I came back. Especially now Storm is depowered for who knows how long.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, of course, but...
But what?
That may change when you hear what I have to say.
About what?
It's about the new student that just arrived.
In his cell, the man currently known as Eric Lenscher sits and awaits to be called back into the Supreme Courtroom. The judges are who's who of nations from across the world. He sits back, glaring at the green lights around him, signifying that the power dampening field is in operation.
Hello, Charles. Come to see me one last time?
No, I came to talk. That's interesting. I can't...
Hear any thoughts? Yes, the devices in this cell make sure of that. You can relax and drop your barriers for once.
If only I could. But it is certainly quiet. Peaceful.
Genosian technology, derived from their collars. Payback for my conquest, no doubt.
That was a long time ago.
Not long enough.
When they read your charges out, they said a few names. I've known you by two. At first Magnus, and then as Eric. Which is your real one?
When you have lived for almost 90 years, you forget all that.
And yet you don't look a day over 60.
My superior mutant genes at work. And good living, of course.
Truly, who are you? Eric? Magnus? Magneto?
The last one is the only one that holds any true meaning for me these days. But if you are asking who I was born as 90 years ago, then that would be Max Eisenhardt. It's funny. The name sounds strange, as though it is that of a stranger. I have never actually heard it in my current accent, nor in English for that matter.
Was it Max who was in the camp?
It was. Max, who saw his first family die at the hands of the Third Reich. Then he would grow to lose his second by the just as terrible Russians 3 decades later. Magnus, who sired twins, and Eric, who had a daughter, none of whom he has even known, but for being part of our private little war. Chess pieces in the great game.
It was never a game to me, Eric. It was life and death.
Isn't that the greatest game of all?
Maybe it is.
Do you have any children, Charles? I never asked.
Biologically, none that I know of.
Well, I'd look into that. They seem to crop up everywhere when you get to our age.
Well, you've always had a few decades on me, my friend.
That I have.
Was it worth it?
What?
Your mission. Your life's work to get vengeance and superiority for our kind. Was it worth the cost that you are paying now?
Perhaps not. But many mutants are alive today because of me.
And many humans are dead because of you.
I see your point. Is that it, old friend? Did you come here to lecture me?
No. I just wanted to let you know I'm testifying today.
For the prosecution?
At first. But I am hoping to be more of a help to the defense.
Magneto says nothing as Charles Xavier exhales and knocks on the door to the guards.
Why?
Because even you need an ally, a friend who will speak your truth.
Please state your name for the record.
Professor Charles Xavier.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Scott, are you?
Not now, Madeline. We'll talk later.
Okay.
Scott's eyes dart towards her and back as he tries to process the information he was told earlier today.
Professor Xavier, in light of the public nature of this trial, you are aware that certain secrets will be broadcasted to the world, that your school may be at risk because of it.
I am. And rest assured to all those watching to wish to try and do harm to it, all my students, I have a very strong home defense, and a Wolverine.
So you are willing to admit that your students are the mutant fighting group known to one and all as the X-Men?
Yes, I am. But you should know that our government has always known, and doesn't treat us any differently than they do the Avengers, or the Fantastic Four.
Ah, but they do, sir. Superheroes are celebrated while mutants remain vilified. Why is that?
Because other superhumans represent freaks of nature, aliens or other such events that make them above humanity. We live among it with no masks in most cases, that hide our true selves to the world. We also represent clear evidence that Homo sapiens may one day evolve into something else, that you may be replaced. And that scares people, I think.
And yet you hide behind monikers and superhero names to mask your true identities, don't you, Professor X?
And how long did it take you to put that one together? It's hardly a mystery fit for Sherlock Holmes.
Let's get to the point then. Your X-Men have battled Magneto on several occasions. Cape Citadel, Genosha, Muir Island. And on each occasion you were there to stop him, correct?
The X-Men were, yes. Though not personally.
And that is because you wanted to save lives?
Yes.
Because you knew Magneto would take them?
I feared it, yes.
Well then, in your opinion, is Magneto a mass murderer?
In a sense.
In a sense?
Would you call a soldier a murderer? Or better yet, a 5-star general? To him, it was a war.
A war he started. And let us not forget we try people for war crimes here too.
Yes, but I would say his actions were out of a misguided sense of improving our lives. That he could make peace by forcing you to live peacefully with mutants.
Don't you mean under them? That was his war cry. We have seen the evidence of that these past few days.
I suppose so. But I would say that this is due to a warped view of the world. A mind that was broken by 2/3 of a life filled with mystery, cruelty, and death. His birth family died in the camps of Auschwitz, his first marital one to a mob in Russia. He's had many names, all of which tried peace before he became Magneto, and was punished with more cruelty for it. I would say that the man being tried today as Eric Lenscher was insane at the height of his evil, an insanity he has only recently started to awake from.
Yes, the defense has asked for the insanity plea, but I think we both know that is not the case, Professor.
Do we? I believe you need to speak to some experts, because I have, and they agree with me.
Later that day, Scott Summers takes the stand.
I believe Magneto was evil, but I don't think killing him is the answer. I believe he needs to be encouraged down the path his mind has already started to take, to heal.
Scott looks to Xavier in the stands, who nods. Scott looks away, unable to meet his eye.
I wonder, Mr. Summers, if you would feel that way if he had killed Miss Jean Grey.
I don't see your point.
Hundreds are watching this who didn't have mutant powers to save their loved ones from this man. But Jean Grey is gone now, isn't she? Lost in space is what I believe your professor reported to S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't see the relevance.
The relevance, Mr. Summers, is that she died in this little war of yours. And Magneto tried to be the one to do it many times, didn't he? Tell me, if you had the chance to bring justice to the one that killed her, wouldn't you take it?
I don't need to. It's already dead. Or at least I thought it was.
What?
That night, the trio have dinner at a local fine dining establishment, along with the rest of the X-Men and Hank, who arrived by jet an hour prior. Scott Summers plays with his food.
I believe she has it under control for now, however. But we will need to closely monitor her to make sure it doesn't corrupt her, as it did Jean.
Scott, you haven't said much.
What's to say? She's staying. I don't have a choice in that, but I don't have to be there either.
Cyclops.
No, Peter. I can't be at that school with a person walking around who is a constant reminder of the life Jean and I could have had. I don't care how it happened, but I don't want anything to do with her.
I see.
She's just a kid, Psych.
Just drop it. Okay, Logan?
Fine. Jeez.
I am actually glad to have you all here like this.
As Xavier speaks, Hank McCoy shifts uncomfortably as he notices many in the eatery staring at him. Some laugh, some cower, some even jeer. He sighs and adjusts himself to not look at them. Nightcrawler notices this, and then he turns off his image inducer. Hank says nothing, just smiles broadly and nods at his fellow blue friend.
Yes, well, I have been in contact with Lilandra, and I have decided to go and spend some time with her in space.
How much time?
I'm not sure. A month? A year? Maybe more.
But who will lead us?
I think we all know that. You no longer need me, my friends. You have outgrown me.
He looks to Storm.
Professor, I am no longer a mutant. I am no good to the team or the students.
Your powers don't define you, Storm. Nor do they make you a great leader. I am asking you to come home and lead the school in my absence.
But the new mutants, who will teach them?
I have had a few ideas, but I was hoping you'd all pitch in.
Cripes. Hell no.
Aurora elbows him.
Fine. But I do danger room sessions only. I'm no babysitter.
When will you leave?
Soon. Lilandra is on her way. Perhaps as soon as the conclusion of this trial.
You and your secrets.
You've all had enough on your minds. Now, a toast.
Xavier raises his glass, the others doing the same.
To us, the X-Men, and to those who are no longer here with us.
The group nod or reply, and then drink their glasses down, Scott's eyes resting to meet Xavier's.
I'll miss you too, son.
Cyclops doesn't answer, just begins to eat. Meanwhile, back at the mansion.
Hey, Rachel. How you settling in?
This place is my home, and yet it isn't. I lived here all my life before the Sentinel apocalypse happened. And yet it is so different, so much older?
Well, you are from an alternate future.
Am I? My world still exists. Beast's theory of multiple futures is just that, a theory. For all you know, you only prolong the inevitable. I mean, this trial, for example?
She gestures to the muted TV showing the coverage of Magneto's time in court.
Magneto, my Magneto. Lorna only ever spoke of her father to say that he was always right. That she should have realized sooner what the humans would do to us.
Okay, maybe he was. But even he is starting to come around, at least from what I hear. Professor X is alive, and so are the rest of us.
Not all.
Rachel's eyes rest on a picture of Jean Grey, her mother, that Xavier had provided.
Yeah. Well, maybe some good will come if our timeline follows yours. I never really knew her. She kinda scared me, to be honest. The way she went all Super Saiyan and killed Emma Frost?
Kitty laughs to herself as she looks to her feet.
And yet, she ended up surviving that somehow. Maybe Jean...
Would it matter? This isn't my time. She isn't my mother, and Cyclops isn't my dad, and they never will be. I lost them both a long time ago, and I've come to terms with it.
Yeah, right.
What?
No one comes to terms with losing someone, especially not before their time. Cyclops hasn't been back here for more than a day since. Death changes people.
Yeah.
Hey girls, what you up to? Fancy some home-baked cookies? My treat, just baked them.
What's that?
It's the perimeter alarm.
You two stay here. I'll check it out.
Rogue flies down the stairs and out of the front door, busting through to peer out at the front grounds. There, she sees it. Nimrod.
Oh, shoot.
Mutant identified. Rogue. Anna Marie.
You're trespassing, Megatron. Get lost.
She swoops in and strikes him hard. His head reels from the shot, but then turns slowly right back.
Uh-oh. Ah!
In the doorway, Kitty and Rachel appear.
Man, I knew we should have all stuck together. What is that thing?
An advanced Sentinel commander, fully sentient, resistance to almost anything.
Yeah? Let's see about that.
Kitty races off down the lawn and then phases just before reaching Nimrod. Passing through him, he sparks as her power short-circuits him.
Seems just as weak as any other machine to me.
But the sparks soon stop, and he turns towards her, blasting.
Whoa!
Kitty phases just in time. Rogue now rises and shakes her head, flying in and pummeling Nimrod from behind. A piece of his purple outer shell breaks, but he then quickly spins and grabs her in his arms, crunching down with all his might.
You will be eliminated.
Leave them alone, Nimrod!
From across the lawn comes the fire of the Phoenix, exploding out of Rachel and striking Nimrod. His shell cracks more as he drops Rogue, his exoskeleton beneath now showing from the damage.
These power levels are not on record, unable to adapt.
Yeah, they aren't on my record either. But I got them now. I don't know how, but you need to leave now.
Negative.
I said go.
Defenses overloading. Must retreat.
Not this time.
Nimrod does not have a chance this time, as he is engulfed by the fire and explodes. The explosion sounds for a long few moments as the three mutant women collect themselves. The Phoenix now returning to the body of Rachel. And for a moment, the shape of the Phoenix symbol appears around her right eye, before vanishing as well.
Well, that happened.
Kitty then looks to the grass as the pieces of Nimrod evaporate in white light.
He'll return to my time and rebuild himself. He'll be back.
Yeah, but we'll be ready, right?
Thanks to Rachel. Rachel, are you?
I'm fine. I can control it now.
I'm sure Jean said the same thing.
Now that we are fully one, I know what the Phoenix knows. See what it saw. The death of the last host of my mom opened its eyes to what can happen if it allows itself to fully take over the host and impose its will. It will never happen again.
Well, I ain't gonna be the one to tell Lilandra.
No, really. The Phoenix powers are mine as a tool, nothing else.
Still, I think I better call Xavier.
I see. That is troubling. I will have to work with her on my return, if I have the chance.
What you mean?
In fact, I think you three had better take the next flight to Paris. My credit cards are in my study drawer. The password is Moira.
Right, okay. I'll see you soon. But what about the other kids? The new mutants?
They are on assignment. They should be safe. Oh, I'd better go. See you shortly, Rogue.
The trial continues. A new witness now on the stand.
Mr. Worthington, what are your feelings towards the defendant?
Fear, I guess. Anger. Pity.
Pity?
Yes. He's a 90-year-old man who has decided he wants to rule the world. And yet, at every turn, 5 or more kids and misfits have gotten in his way. Yet he does keep trying.
How old were you when you first met Eric Lenscher?
16. Right after I joined Xavier's school.
Yes, Charles Xavier weaponizing his students is a topic for another trial, I think. And what was he doing when you first met him?
He had taken over a military base and intended to use missiles to make people do what he wanted.
And that was?
Bow to mutants. Kneel before him. I don't know.
And when you met him next, had he changed?
He'd gotten worse. Recruited an army and destroyed a city. We only stopped him because of Jean.
How many times would you say you have fought the defendant?
A dozen, give or take a few temporary alliances that went bad quickly.
And knowing that, Mr. Worthington, do you believe he is sincere in his remorse before this court?
No. I suppose I don't.
Xavier sighs and places his head in his hand. Afterward, in the courtyard.
Warren!
Hey, buddy. Good to see you.
Hey, folks. Good to see you, too. I do wish it was under better circumstances, though. But at least this madman will finally be put to justice, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Scott, you can't really believe he's changed. After all he's done to us.
I'd like to believe so.
Wow. Well, you really have changed after,
Go on. You can say it.
You know what I mean.
I don't know that I do. Since when is hoping a person can grow and change a negative thing?
When it's naive.
Some would say open-minded, my friend.
Hank, hey, blue guy. Wow. Did you get more hairy since we last met?
No. You just aren't in a drug-induced sedated state. I would hope Scott's wedding venue will be a tad more fragrant.
Wedding? What wedding?
Maddie and I are tying the knot.
What? Already?
I love her.
Jean's barely 2 years in the...
Boring.
I agree. That is quite enough of that.
You're right. I'm sorry, Scott. It's just so soon. Why? You didn't get her pregnant, did you?
Scott's cheeks go red as he looks away and rubs the back of his neck.
Well...
Scott Summers? Really? Congratulations are in order, but... Wow.
Indeed. I wondered when you would tell us that detail.
You scanned our thoughts.
Scott, I took you in at 15. I didn't need to.
Well, I'm just stepping in all of it today, aren't I? Congratulations, Scott. Really.
Thanks, Warren.
Say, where's Bobby?
That's, classified.
You what?
2 days later, the X-Men are in the stands, joined by their newest recruits and Rachel, as the trial comes to an end.
Before the verdict is decided, the defendant has one last chance to plead his case to us. Mr. Lensher, you may approach us and speak.
Magneto sighs, nods, and walks up to the podium.
Indeed, my defense is this. What right do you all have to stand in judgment over me? I am not officially a citizen of your states, and have not been for some time. And yet my life has always been held hostage by men with greater destructive powers than I have all my life. You have always possessed the capability to slay me and my kind. I live, I prosper, solely because a handful of powerful men choose to keep the peace. I can just as easily as arbitrarily be condemned. Unlike others, however, I have the power to do something about it. I thought, mistakenly, those nations would best understand their own language of violence. Unfortunately, force begat force. And as always, innocence paid the price. A price I discovered too late that was too high. My goal has not changed, but my methods have.
You still seek the domination of this world?
My dream from the start has been the protection and preservation of my own mutant kind, to spare them the fate my family suffered in Auschwitz. And do not tell me such a thing cannot happen again, because that is a lie. You humans slaughter each other because of the color of your skin, or your faith, or your politics, or simply for no reason at all. Too many of you hate as easily as you draw breath. What's to prevent you adding us to that list? I thought I could impose sanity from above, through conquest, but there are too many of you, so I decided I must try another way. I am the reason mutants are unjustly feared. That is why I am here, why I will abide by the court's decision. Power dampening collar or not, my hope is to make the world understand the reasons for my being, but most of all, to punish me for my crimes, and no longer my people.
Xavier raises his eyebrows in surprise as the panel seem to actually be listening.
Whatever my fate, you must still face the reality presented by our mutants' existence. You cannot wish us away. You cannot ignore us. We, Homo Superior, are your children. We are the next generation of humanity. What kind of parent fears their progeny, tries to murder them? Is this the legacy you wish to leave? I have seen the error of my ways. Can you say the same?
Eric Lensher, Magneto, it is the judgment of this tribunal that you shall be...
With a massive crash, the entire left wall caves in, and behind it comes Nimrod, rebuilt.
Multiple mutants detected in this area. They shall be purged for the greater good of all.
Nimrod? He's back? This thing doesn't quit.
Allow me.
Rachel again controls the flames, blasting only Nimrod with remarkable precision. Behind her, Scott Summers' eyes grow wide.
The Phoenix! She has control of the Phoenix!
I have worked with her in the hotel, Scott. She has control of it. More than Jean ever...
What? Don't you dare say that! That girl isn't even a real person!
What?
Rachel's attention is snapped to him, her eyes welling up with tears. And in that split second, Nimrod acts and blasts her.
Ah! Rachel!
Rachel falls to the ground, smoke billowing from her back.
One down. The rest of you will now be purged.
Oh, yeah? Try purging this, Tin Man!
Wolverine charges. Nightcrawler smirks and follows in a puff of smoke.
I agree. Charge!
You should know, Feeling. Many have tried, and many have failed.
X-Men, on me. Watch out for each other and don't let up.
They come from all sides. Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Rogue, Colossus, and Kitty Pryde attack with all their powered might. Behind them, Storm reaches down and picks up one of the mutant detention unit handguns and begins firing it at Nimrod. Nimrod blasts again, knocked off target by a slash from Wolverine. The blast going wide and hitting Magneto, right in his dampening collar. It goes dark. He smiles and pulls it off.
You cannot prevail. I will continue to come. You may destroy me 100 times, and I will return 100 times more. Time is on my side, mutants.
Shut the hell up!
Rogue hits him. Kitty phases and shorts him out for a moment. Colossus then reels back and sends the robot flying. Nightcrawler then teleports onto his back and covers his eyes, making Nimrod fly directly into a wall. Kurt, teleporting off just in time.
Enough of this!
Nimrod sends out a charged, huge blast, striking the roof and bringing it caving in. Below, the collection of tribunal judges scream as it falls towards them. But the tons of debris halts with a start as Magneto holds it steady.
What? Magneto, you... Why?
Go! Run! Now! You are lucky to have rebar in your construction. But I don't know how much longer I can hold this.
The group nod and gather themselves in shock before running for the exit. As soon as they are clear, Magneto lets the debris drop. Meanwhile, the original X-Men on hand now join the fray. Cyclops, glad he always carries his visor for emergencies as he puts it on, and begins blasting optic blasts into Nimrod. Beast, nailing it with acrobatic kicks and hits from both sides, as Warren runs air support. The entire team of X-Men, past and present, rally and drive the Sentinel back outside onto the front courtyard lawn.
Resistance is futile. You will all be destroyed!
Nimrod sends out one last blast, as if out of spite, hitting Professor Xavier at point-blank range.
Professor!
No! Charles! No!
Magneto's eyes grow dark. It is a sight the X-Men have come to know and fear well. Rising up from the grass and high into the sky, as the fine dress suit begins to rip and tear at the seams.
Well, there he is, and I need new underpants.
Magneto reaches out and uses all of his power to encase Nimrod in a sphere of electromagnetic power. Through the hole in the wall comes Rachel, groaning and holding herself before calling out,
The time chip in his wrist! Destroy it and he can never return!
Thank you, girl.
He reaches out again and begins crushing Nimrod in the sphere, then focuses all his might on finding and removing the chip. Soon, a glowing chipboard pierces the wrist casing and hovers up away from Nimrod's body.
Return to where you came from, Sentinel, and tell your masters this world is protected by the X-Men and by Magneto.
Magneto clenches his fist, and the chip explodes.
No!
Nimrod vanishes in brilliant light once more, but this time, without the means to return so easily. Magneto powers down and drops back down onto the grass. Kurt raises his eyebrows and looks at Rachel.
So, do you have one of those?
No, if I go back in time, I gotta use the portal. And trust me, I am never doing that again.
And Nimrod?
Neither will he. The Resistance controlled that complex now.
Professor!
Kitty's eyes grow wet as she calls out, pointing to Xavier, who is not moving. Everyone rushes towards him, but Cyclops reaches him first.
Professor! Charles!
He kneels down and turns him over.
Speak! No, not again! I can't do it again! Please be okay, Professor. Say something!
Scott. My son. It is good to see you. But we have little time.
What?
I almost died before, as the Brood Queen. I know what it feels like, and it feels like this. Scott, my X-Men, there is so much I want to say, but I don't have the...
Then do not. Save your strength.
Storm, Cyclops, decide between you. But one of you has to lead the team. They will need you now, more than ever.
I'll try.
And speak to the girl, Scott. Speak to Rachel. She may be from a future you may never have, but she is also an echo. The last vestige of the love that you lost. Of Jean.
Cyclops exhales and looks up to Rachel.
I will try that too.
Good. Now, Magneto, Eric, I need to speak to you.
I'm here, Charles.
Magneto kneels down, taking Cyclops' place in holding Xavier up. The tearful Scott Summers rising and embracing his future wife in despair.
Eric, I need you to lead them, to take over the school, and see my dream come true.
Charles, I'm a wanted criminal who is about to be executed.
After today, I think not. You saved their lives. They will remember that, and your words. And I may have pushed their minds a tad in the direction of a pardon.
What?
Just a little. To help them be open to your recovery.
But even if that is so, I cannot become the caretaker of your dream, Charles. I do not believe in it.
You must. You must. For me. Please, my friend. For me. Please take care of my children.
I will try.
The sorrowful scene is interrupted as three figures appear in light.
What the hell now?
The one in the center, they soon realize, is Lilandra.
Charles, what has happened?
She rushes to his side.
He was injured, shot by a Sentinel.
Then there is no time to lose. I must get him to my ship.
You can save him?
No, but I can put him in stasis and take him home. The medical techs on my world may be able to save him.
Your world? How far away is...
A long way.
Then we're just gonna lose him anyway.
If we do not take him now, you will most certainly lose him forever.
Then go, now!
I do not know who you are, my lady, but I agree. Take him.
Lilandra nods, and then does the same to her men, who gather Xavier up for transport.
Lilandra here. 4 to bring up. Now.
As spots of dazzling light rises up to engulf them, Xavier turns his head one last time to look at Magneto.
Please, Eric. For me. Promise me.
I shall.
And then he and the aliens are gone.
I shall try, Charles.
Everyone on the lawn stands in silence for what seems like 10 minutes before someone finally breaks it.
Wait. Did he just make Magneto? Are you now the headmaster of Xavier's school?
Yes, Kitty. It would appear I am.
A week later, back at the Xavier mansion, Magneto sighs as he places his helmet on Xavier's old desk, then places a glass case over it.
What's that?
A reminder of who I used to be, and a sign that it has been retired as a relic to stay on this desk for good.
I hear you got pardoned. Congratulations.
Thank you. Though I believe it was on the condition I remain here and out of trouble. The first I can manage. The second will be more difficult.
Living here? Oh, for sure. Oh, I made you something.
Make me what, Kitty?
Kitty grins from ear to ear as she removes a costume from a black suit bag and presents it to him. Magneto tries not to grimace as he looks at the purple monstrosity with a giant white M over the entire torso.
Oh, Kitty. How thoughtful. It is very, purple.
Now you have a superhero outfit. Now you're with the good guys.
Yes, well, I think a suit will suffice for the time being, but I will keep it in reserve. Thank you, dear.
Outside.
You are sure you won't stay?
Maybe after the wedding, Storm. We'll see. A lot has happened. Even before this place was run by Magneto and had my daughter from an alternate future living in it. I need time.
Very well. I look forward to the wedding.
I was actually going to ask if you'd be one of the bridesmaids.
Oh? Wow. Of course.
You'll do great.
Where will you go?
Back to Alaska, I think. Clear my head.
Very well. See you soon, Scott.
The first X-Man departs, he and Maddie wishing and waving their goodbyes to all as they drive away. But across the world, a figure watches all of this on a security drone from his perch in the shadows. His red eyes seem to glow in the dark, his teeth sharp and pointed, his skin pure white. A red diamond also glows to illuminate his sinister appearance.
Yes, Mr. Summers. Go home. Enjoy your life while you still can.
Hello?
Carl? Carl? From Scyther Inc. Productions?
Yeah, that's me. And you are?
Carl! It's me, your pal Deadpool!
Okay, hanging up now.
No, wait. Don't hang up, buddy, old pal. I just want to talk for a minute.
I'm listening, but I really have to get back to work, so just make it quick. You already hijacked my mid-credits, and I don't do mid-credits.
First off, I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan, and what you just did with the trial of Magneto, mwah, chef's kiss. Well, I'm now eager to see what's next. I'm not sure you've gotten any of my calls and emails, and heard my plea before you read out the names of all your lovely backers.
Look, Wade.
You know my real name?
How could I not? You left me like 15 messages about my extended car warranty with your name at the end, and they weren't even believable spam calls. I don't even drive, for one.
Yeah, well, about that, well, you weren't returning my calls.
Right, and the other 20 calls you left, not to mention the emails. I also didn't edit you out of the stunt that you just pulled. There's still time, though. It's only up for early access at the minute.
You're not mad at me, are you?
Look, wait, here's the deal. People contact me all the time, asking me when I'm going to put certain characters in the show. I have a method to the madness. I'd like to say I'll appease everybody at some point.
Oh, I understand that. People want to join me for Taco Tuesdays all the time, but I just can't seem to share. So when are you putting the Merc with a mouth in your show?
Look, you're a real listener, right?
All the time. When I'm driving and shooting and maiming and touching myself. Always listening to the X-Men stuff. And the Batman show too. Even if it is from a competing company. In that Power Ranger show. It's okay.
Great. TMI. Anyway, well, if you've been on board, you know that Season 1 was the first class stuff for the Uncanny X-Men, Season 2 was a modernised version of the 70s, Dark Phoenix, all that. Season 3, we've just got into the 80s, we're in like the mid-80s, like 86 at this point. The Deadpool character wasn't created until the early 90s. The books are still being well drawn at this point.
First of all, I already made that joke. Secondly, Carl, you do know that my best bud Cable has time travel capabilities, and he doesn't even need a DeLorean. You could literally insert me anywhere and it'd work.
I'm sure it would, but I just did that with Power Rangers with Alex. Now's not the time, you know?
Oh, now is not the time, huh? I wonder what your co-writer would think of that.
Rick? I'm pretty sure he's on the same page I am.
Oh, really? Well, I've got him right here in my basement. Say hi to Carl, Rick. He doesn't speak too well with the tape over his mouth. Anyway, what do you need me to do to convince you? I could speak with a British accent.
That's not even a British accent, Wade.
Shh, it's okay. Rick has gone to sleep for a little bit. I like him. Reminds me of a comfy footstool.
Let Rick go, Deadpool, and I promise in a future season you will have a role. But it also depends on, continued fan support and the show carried on.
Oh, really? Thank you so much. Don't worry about the fans. I'll make sure they stay tuned in, even if I have to do it at gunpoint. So, who will you get to voice me? Some Canadian guy? Nathan? Joey? Nick? Rex? Omri? Who?
Look, I've really got to get back to work. Could you please just return Rick to his family and stop calling me? If you don't leave me alone, I'll never have the time to write you in, and Rick certainly won't if he's trapped in your basement, will he?
Okay, fine. I'll let you get to it. I'll call you back in, let's say, a week to check on your progress.
Goodbye, Wade. I'm blocking your number. Again.
Wait, can you have me riding in on a Power Ranger?
You mean a Zord?
I know what I said. I just love the pink one. And the green one, for that matter.
See you next season, all. Psylocke will be in it.
Oh, come on, Carl! You had one job!